For my programming technique, I'm going to show you how to make a couple really simple homemade instruments to use with folk tales from around the world. The first one is going to go with Appalachian folk tales, and it is just a cardboard box, some rubber bands, and a little wooden stick. This is just a painting stick I got for free at Lowe's, paint stirring stick. And this is going to be a rubber band banjo. So all you have to do is put your box like this. You need some pretty long rubber bands, which you can find different lengths in the store. If you want to try to get a variety pack of different thicknesses, that helps because they'll make different pitches when you make them. But you just put them lengthwise over the box. And the fun colors are always good to use with kids. This would be a good one to use for kindergarten ages, so really young ones, because it's really fast and it's really simple. And then you just pluck along. So you've got your rubber bands, just about 4 is good enough. And you can see that the thicker rubber bands will make the lower pitch than the higher ones. And the painting stick comes in as the bridge. You can slide it underneath and create tension on the rubber bands to create different sounds. The higher the bridge is up towards the end, the lower the notes will be, and the more you move it towards the center and make the rubber band shorter, the higher it's going to be. So at the end it's, and then shortened it is, and that's it, and that's just the rubber band banjo. And you can use this with any Appalachian story like The Adventures of Molly Whoopie or any of the Jack Tales. The Old Woman and Her Pig is a good one by Margaret Reed MacDonald, who does a lot of folk tales. And it's just a fun time instrument to use. Easy peasy. Homemade folk instruments are really great to use along with folk tales because if you think about it, most of the instruments that make up the folk music from a lot of these cultures came from just whatever they had lying around. You think about the spoons or the washboard for kind of American folk music, or you know, animal hides, or just tree limbs that they had in other parts of the country. And the next instrument I'm going to show you is a didgeridoo from Australian Aboriginal culture. And these are traditionally made with eucalyptus branches that have been hollowed out, but a really good, easy, cheap one to make that actually makes a pretty good sound is just with regular old PVC pipe. And I got a 10-foot length of this PVC pipe from Lowe's for only about $6. And you want your didgeridoos to each be at least 3 feet long. So that one $6 length of PVC made me 3 didgeridoos, 2 3-foot and 1 3.5-foot, and then there was a little extra. And sometimes they might cut it for you if you ask them, but they didn't cut it for me, so I just had my husband do it really quickly with the hacksaw, and it's really easy. But that is something that you'd want to do before the program, so you know, the kids don't mess with it. But even if you do it beforehand, this is something that you want to use with at least upper elementary all the way through high school, because it does require some practice and skill, and it just takes a little more time to use it. So the only things you need for this one are the PVC pipe, which I've already cut down, kind of clean it up with sandpaper so there's no rough edges, and then beeswax, which you can get in blocks like this from most craft stores. I got this one at Hobby Lobby. They're used a lot with candle making. So you just get a block like this. This was about $15, which is not super cheap, but you could probably make about 15 or 16 didgeridoos just with this. I cut off like a 1/4 inch from the end, and the way you melt it is, there's a couple things you can do. I've seen some people use hair dryers, but that can get a little tricky. The best way I found to do it is in a pot of water. And you don't want to boil it, you don't want to scald it. You want the water to be warm or hot, hotter than room temperature for sure, but still tolerable to keep your fingers in it. So how I did it was I kind of held the wax under the water while it was heating to make sure that it wasn't overheating, and also to keep it under the water because the wax floats. And then as soon as it started getting just a little too hot, I turned the water off and just let it sit for about 10 or 12 minutes. And that makes it moldable. And you roll it out into like a tube or a snake, and then you just form fit it around the edge here. And I learned how to play with my limited abilities from YouTube videos, and there's a ton of them online, and I put some good links in the programming technique handout that I posted on Blackboard. But what you kind of want to do is, see if I can do this now, kind of anchor the corners of your mouth so it's not just like that. You kind of want to keep them a little further in and try to take a deep breath and not push it out too quickly, because unless you know circular breathing, which is the technique used for good didgeridoo players who've been doing it a long time, then it's hard to hold a note. So here goes. That didn't work. Alright, try again. That's a didgeridoo. And there's fortunately a lot of good Aboriginal tales that you can use this with. There's lots that you could just find online. And there are some great books to use. Some of the ones that I found were Animal Dreaming, an Aboriginal Dreamtime Story by Paul Moran, and The Secrets from the Billabong by James Vance Marshall, and that's a compilation of a lot of different stories. And both of those are available on Amazon, and they might be available in your library already because a lot of libraries have a big folktale collection. So those are just two simple instruments, folksy, homemade instruments to use with folktales from around the world. Hopefully you can incorporate them into your story times. Thanks.